Hello my friends, this is Jeannie. Welcome to another episode of Demo a Die. In this episode, I am going to demo another Santoro London die cut. This one is, of course, another Gorjuss Girls die. And the one I am doing for you today is called Toadstool. So let me find Toadstool, and here she is. She is so cute. But then again, I say that about all of these dies. How sweet is she? So this particular die cut is 11 pieces. And between you and me, I think one of these pieces were put in there just to drive you crazy, because this one I struggled with for a little bit. And I think I got it, but I don't know. It works for me. This is how I'm going to demo it. If you know something different, leave me a little comment down below, but this is what works for me. So again, 11 pieces. This particular die cut also comes with coordinating papers so that you can duplicate her little outfit exactly. These are the two pattern papers that you get, and I believe you get 4 of each. You also get the magnetic sheet so that you can store your dies on the sheet when you are not using them, and that's awesome. I love that. Important to note that this die is a standalone die. It does not coordinate with the corresponding Gorjuss Girls stamp. That's just how these die cuts are made. It sucks, I know, but that's how they made them. They don't coordinate with the corresponding stamp, and the die doesn't come with any instructions or illustrations on how to put them together. So that being said, let me show you what my cute little paper doll looked like. And as always, I put them together 2 ways. I put them together in the traditional way, which is what's shown here. And this little card doesn't come with the kit, so to speak. This is part of the packaging that the dies come in. I cut this off from the packaging and I store it with my dies so that I have a forever reminder of what these cuties should look like when you put them together. So I encourage you to do the same thing. Before you toss your packaging out, cut this out and keep it with your dies. It's very, very helpful. But that is what the traditional layering of the dies will result in. This cutie pie right there. As always, I play around with them a little bit and figure out how to kind of manipulate the cuts a tiny bit so that I'm left with a I guess canvas, right? A blank face canvas, so that I can go in and use a face stamp. And that's what I did for this one. But for the purposes of today's demonstration, I am going to put it together in the traditional way. And as I move along in the steps, I will point out to you what I did at certain points to manipulate the layering a tiny bit so that I had the blank face and I was able to go in with my face stamp. Okay, so 11 pieces. This piece right here is your base piece. Now, traditionally, with a base piece, especially with these dies, I'm always saying to you, make sure you cut it in whatever color you want the flesh tone of the paper doll to be. But for the Toadstool die, that is not the case, because if you look at this die, the base die, you see her hair. See that? Her hair. So her hair is very much a part of the base layer. So whatever color you want her hair to be is the color that you should use when cutting out this base piece. Okay, and that's because, with the exception of the face and a little bit of the arms, you're not going to see a lot of the flesh, like the arms, the legs, and other parts of her body. You'll see her face for sure and a teeny tiny bit of her arm peeking out, but there's separate die pieces for that. So for this base, you want to cut it in whatever color you are going to cut her hair. Okay, so again, you see those embossing details on this die? If your die cut machine is not giving you enough pressure where you are, so that you can get those embossing details, then all you need to do is, after you cut the piece, just pop it back in. Okay, grab something flat. I usually use a pen cap. You can use a Teflon folding tool, whatever you have, something flat. Go in and just rub, rub, rub. You kind of your own embossing tool. And if you apply enough pressure, you will get that embossing detail. Okay, there it is. You see it? There we go. So this is your base piece. And again, cut it in whatever color you want your doll's hair to be. I want my doll to have black hair, so I cut it using black cardstock. Okay. Layer 1. Layer 2, the next layer is going to be this piece right here. Okay, and this piece is going to create that little peekaboo color right there of her dress hanging out from under her coat. You see that color? That's what this piece, if I can pick it up again. OMG, come on, cooperate. My goodness, these things. There you go. So this piece is going to cut out that little peekaboo. So whatever color you want her dress to be, that's the color you're going to use when cutting out this particular piece. And you're going to layer this piece on top of your base like that. See? Like that. Looks a little odd now, but it will make more sense as you layer more pieces on top of it. So just like that. So let me grab my glue pen. And I find when gluing these paper dolls together, a liquid adhesive is the best way to go, because liquid adhesive is a tiny bit more forgiving than some other super strong adhesive that makes permanent contact or creates a permanent bond as soon as it makes contact with whatever you're sticking it to. You really do want to use some kind of adhesive that's going to allow for you to have just a couple of seconds of movement so that you can line these dies up properly. Listen, unless you're like super good at layering and you don't have shaky hands. I have some shaky hands and I need some time to move the layers a tiny bit to line them up. So, and the glue that I use is this Zig color pen. I've had it forever. As you can see, the barrel is almost empty. I'm gonna have to get another one before I finish these gorgeous girls dies. So if you're looking for one, I would suggest that one. Lasts a long time, and the point is perfect for getting those little spots, not putting too much glue because you don't want it oozing everywhere. You get a nice control. So that is layer 1 and layer 2. The next layer we're going to put on top of that is this one here, and this creates her coat. So this cute coat over her purple dress, in my case her purple dress, is created using this particular die cut. So whatever color you want her coat to be, this is what you're going to use. And again, there's some embossing details. You see the pockets right there? Same thing, if your die cutting machine for whatever reason doesn't create enough pressure for that embossed detail to show, just pop it back in. Okay, pop it back in, use a pen cap or whatever tool you have and just rub over the area where that embossing detail is, and you'll get it. Okay, and this piece, let me move this back up here. this piece will layer on top like so. Now, it's at this point that I'm going to give you a little tip on what you can do with this particular layer so that you have a blank face that you can go in and draw your own face. This is the layer that you're going to manipulate or kind of change up a little bit to create that blank face canvas. If you don't want to create a blank face canvas, then you're going to continue layering, and I'll obviously continue to show you how to do that. But this piece is the piece you can alter if you want that blank face canvas. And the way you alter it is you cut out two pieces of this particular die. One in whatever color you want her coat, and a second in whatever color you want her flesh on her face to be. Then what you do is you take the heads off of them. I know it sounds so mean. You're going to chop the little head off of this one and then take the head for the one that's in the flesh color and just layer the bottom half of one die cut and the top half of the other, and it'll create the face. Hopefully that makes sense. But this is the die cut that you're going to manipulate if you want to create a blank face canvas. So when you lop the head off, you'll end up with a dress, right? You'll layer it like that. And then when you cut another piece of this same layer in the flesh tone and you take the bottom part off, the coat off, you'll be able to adhere the head in the proper flesh tone on the top. So that's just if you want to create that blank canvas for the face. Otherwise, when you cut this piece, it creates her coat and you're going to adhere the entire piece right here like that. See, and there's her coat and there's her dress. See that? So hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Yeah. I try not to be confusing, but you know, sometimes I only make sense to myself and nobody else. Okay, so let's get some glue on this. Turn this over. Stick her on. Okay, wow, I actually got that one pretty quick. That was pretty impressive. Didn't take much movement on that one. Okay. So there you have it. Okay. Very nice. I got it all lined up. Now the next layer you're going to put on top of this is going to create her face. That cute little face, that traditional face right there that we see, is created using this die right here. Do you see there the two holes for the eyes right there? So you're going to cut this die in whatever color you want her face to be. And here's a better illustration. Once I cut it out, I went in with my Copic markers and I colored in generally where her face would be. I put in some blush detail. And then you would go ahead and you would layer this on top right here like so. Now you notice that when you layer this on top of the layer behind it, the eyes are whatever color that layer behind it is. So in this case, I kind of have like that bluish coat. Her eyes look bluish. I don't want bluish eyes. I want, you know, just her black little eyes. So I go in with a dark marker. In my case, I have a Copic, and I just color in the area where the eyes are going to be peeking out, so that I don't have eyes that match the color of her coat, but instead I just have the black little eyes. Okay, so once I put that down there, there's her face. How cute is she? Okay, so I'm going to adhere her. And again, I know that these videos have been like 20-minute plus in length, but that is not necessarily a indication of how long it's going to take for you to put these dies together. I am being very slow and deliberate in my method for putting these dolls together. I want you to see step for step what I do, just so that there's no confusion on how to put them together, at least the way that I figured it out. Once you do these dies once or twice, you'll fly. You'll put them together a lot faster. You know, you won't have to pause and explain things. You'll just be able to put them together. So you'll fly. It will not take you all this time to put them together. So no, it doesn't take this long to put them together. Again, I'm just being very deliberate in my explanation. So there is her face. Okay, so the next area we're going to work at is the top area. You see where her hat and her hair is. Okay, so what I figured out is do you see how her bangs are kind of peeking out a little bit, and you see those black stripes there? That's her hair, right? The bangs on the bottom and those stripes on the top, it's her hair. I'm not sure why the die is designed that way, but that's what it is. So that particular piece right here, her bangs and the rest of her hair, is cut using this piece right here. See it? Right there. Right there. So you want to cut that piece in whatever color you cut her hair, or if you can kind of, if you wanted to, instead of taking it, you see how I treated it as if her bangs were peeking out. If you didn't want her bangs to peek out like that, but instead wanted to treat it like that was the bill of her hat, or you know, part of her hat, then you can cut that piece in whatever pattern you want to contrast her hat. So you can have the hat one color with stripes another color and a little bill at the bottom in that same color. So hopefully that makes sense. But I treated it like it was, you know, I want her little bangs to hang out a little bit, so I cut that top piece in the color I wanted her hair to be, which is black. See? So I'm going to put that on there just like that. That's my choice. And I'm sticking with it. Oh my gosh. I got to tell you though, some of these dies are easier than others. This one, I don't know why, but I struggled with it first a little bit between the hat and her arms. Those are the pieces I struggled with the most, but I think I got it. I think I got it. So that is the rest of her hair plus some of her hat, right? Then the next piece I'm going to put on are the rest of the hat itself. The rest of the hat itself right there. And that piece is cut using this die. So like I said, if you don't want little bangs peeking out, then you can cut these two. You can treat them as just hat pieces, with this being a bottom and this being a top layer, and it creates some contrast through the little peekaboo. You see those peekaboo cuts in the back? These are going to be peekaboo cuts. You can just layer them in contrasting colors and just have a different pattern hat. I wanted to treat it like her hair. So when you cut this piece out right here, this piece right here, you get this. And this is what creates the finishing look of her hat. Just like that. See? And when I layer it like that, you can see the black in the background. You see that? That peeks through this. Now, hopefully you'll understand when I say you can use these two layers, this layer and this layer, just to create different patterns of hat if you don't care for her bangs peeking out the way I want them to. So let's go ahead and glue that on. Oh my gosh. My husband's in the other room watching football, and his team must be doing really, really well, because I hear him dancing around. I hear him yelling, and that's really the only time you can get that kind of reaction out of that man, is when football is involved. Yes, yes, yes. So there you have it. That's her hat and her hair and her face. So the next parts we're going to work on are her arms. You see how her arms are crossed across the front of her body, and they're kind of tucked into her elbows, and hands are tucked into each other. Her arms are folded across her chest, essentially. This is where I struggled with this for a little bit, and I still don't know that I got this right, but I'm going to show you what I did. So there are 3 small dies. My goodness, are they tiny? 3 small dies that look very similar, but are not at all. And here they are. 1, 2, and where's that other one? These look very similar. And these 3 are supposed to work together to create her arms folding across her chest like that. Now, you see the striped part, the glove part? That glove, or those gloves, are created using this piece right here. With there's no open. You see how 2 of them have an opening in the middle, but this one doesn't. This one kind of has that crossbar going right there. This piece creates her gloves. So whatever color you want her gloves, that's this piece right here. Okay, that's this piece right there. So I'm going to put that to the side. These 2 pieces create her arms. Do you see how her flesh, her arms, the flesh color is kind of peeking out from behind her gloves there? That's created using these 2 dies. Now, in my mind, you don't need these 2 dies, because they are, you don't need both. You need one or the other. The only difference between them is the length. One is a little bit longer than the other, and hopefully you can see that. Okay, so when you cut the pieces, and I'll show you. When you cut the pieces that create her arms using those 2 die cuts, those 2 metal dies, you end up with 2 virtually identical pieces, except that one is longer than the other, and I'm going to stack them to show it to you. You see that? When you stack them, one is longer than the other. See that? So that's the only difference. Now, at first I thought, well, you stack the longer as the base. Take that back. You stack the shorter one on top of the longer one, right? And that looks like a pair of arms to me, right? Pair of arms. And then you put the gloves on top of that. That's what I thought. Okay, you see? And when you do that, you have this piece that goes across there. And you can do that, and that works fine. And I'll put it up against the die cut that we've done so far so that you can see. It works fine. See? It works fine. Okay? It works fine. You can do it that way. And you'll see a lot of her arms on both sides. You see that? It makes it look like the coat is either like pushed up on her arms, or she's wearing maybe a short sleeve coat. So if that's the look you want, you can stack all 3 of these layers in that exact order. The longer piece on the bottom, the shorter piece on top, and then the gloves on top of that. And then take that piece and adhere it to your doll, and you have your arms. But I like the look where her coat looks more like it's a long sleeve coat, and you only have a tiny bit of her arms peeking through because of the way her arms are crossed. So what I do is this long piece, I don't use it. 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 Instead, I just put the short piece, the gloves, I adhere them together, and I put that on top of the doll so that it looks like she's has more long sleeve coat than a short sleeve coat. So totally personal preference. You do what you want to do. I want the short I want the coat to look like it's a long sleeve coat. That's my personal preference. But obviously you can use them in whatever order you want. So let me adhere her little gloves on. I know, I just like, it took me a little bit to figure out what that was. Like, why do you need two pieces that cut out her arm that are virtually identical, except that one is slightly longer than the other? Except that instead of having, you know, her arms land in spots that create the look of a long sleeve coat, they land in spots that create the look of a short sleeve coat. So long sleeve, short sleeve, it's whatever your preference is. I'm going with the short sleeve. So I adhere the gloves on top of the arms, and now I'm going to adhere those arms right about there. Okay, and that creates, you see the look? And in fact, you know what? Just to, I guess, to prove the point that the dies can be used either way, I will go ahead and use them as I guess they were originally intended, right? Who am I to say that my way is the better way? So I will go ahead and adhere all three. So I'll use the long arm piece, I'll use the short arm piece, and then I'll put the glove on top. So there we go. That's all three of them stacked together. Long arm piece, short arm piece, and then the glove on top. There you go. So now we're going to go ahead and adhere this right there. Okay? I know I shouldn't. I should just stick to the way they meant it to be used. Right? Especially if I'm going to demo it, I might as well demo it right. So let me step off here a little bit so that I can get this little girl next to me. All right. Okay. And there she is. You see the difference? This is where I just use one of those pieces. This is where I use both of the pieces. So there you go. Now all that's left to do is attach her little boots. And that's what these two oh my God. These are hard to pick up sometimes. You get two little die cuts for her boots right there. Oh, aren't they cute? So you want to cut that in whatever color you want her boots to be. I use the paper that matches her coat. That's right there. So let's go ahead and adhere this onto her. Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if these dies came with instructions, or at least like a picture showing each step, or maybe number the die cuts themselves, like somewhere on them stamp a little number on them so that you know what order to layer them in. I don't know, just a thought, putting that out there. If those who manufacture these dies or design them happens to be watching, doubt it. Just a thought. So there, her boots are on, and there she is. She is so cute. Look at her. So that is how you layer the dies. Okay, this is using all 11 pieces in the traditional way that they were intended to be used, including the layering of the arms and the look of her face. And this one is manipulating the dies just a little bit so that I ended up with a blank canvas to stamp a face and her arms don't peek out as much as they do here. So it creates more the look of a long sleeve coat than a short sleeve coat. So thank you so much for watching, my friends. I truly do appreciate it. With this particular toadstool girl, that will conclude the 2016 dies for the Gorjuss girls. I am going to start next with the 2017 dies that were recently released as part of the Postal collection, and here they are. These dies are so cute, and I can't wait to put them together. We have Fly Away With Me, we have Spring at Last, Little Fishes, and Summer Days. So those are the dies that I'm going to be doing for you next, the 2017 release. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I truly do appreciate it. Until next time, bye bye. My gosh, they are so cute. So cute.